the delay on that. And all right. How you guys doing? Anybody out there today? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to my live. You guys got any questions? Feel free. Hey, welcome. Make sure you introduce yourself when you're here. Sorry for the delay this morning, or this time. I was having problems with the getting live going, so I don't know what was going on this time, but certainly I'm here now. How you guys doing? All right, tell me who's here. All right, Daniel the adjuster here, helping you guys learn how to become the better adjuster, or if you're just starting to figure out how to get into this industry, well, certainly I'm here to answer those questions for you as well. So feel free to introduce yourself, tell me who's here, and sorry for the delay getting started. I, for some reason, couldn't get my YouTube to work on my iPad, so I don't know. I don't understand technology sometimes, why it doesn't work and why it does work sometimes, so bear with me. Bear with me. All right, feel free to ask a question, anything that's on your mind, guys. We're happy to help you figure it out if you guys got any questions. Anyway, so thought I would get on here. I had quite a few people shoot me up for messages this week regarding deployments and going out west. There's lots of storms going on in Texas and, wow, Nebraska and Minnesota and Tennessee and Oklahoma and I said Minnesota, I think, just all over the place. Midwest, lots of stuff, a little bit up north, so some stuff going on up there as well, and some Florida stuff, and Alabama, a little bit in South Carolina, but oh, lo and behold, North Carolina, we don't get anything. So just happens to be the year for not getting anything in North Carolina. Now you watch. We're going to get a monster hurricane that's going to flatten the whole state. You watch. Just my luck. So I'm waiting for it to happen. It's going to happen. All right, you guys got any questions? Let me know. Nobody's leaving a note. Tell me who's here. Let me know who's here, and I will certainly chat with you guys. I can't see your messages. I don't know if anybody's leaving me anything, but introduce yourself. Tell me where you're from. What state are you in? And certainly we can talk about what's going on in that state if you're interested to know. And all right. Timberchick, Texas. Thank you for joining me. Sorry, I had problems with my YouTube on my iPad, and then I'd stream on my TikTok with the phone, and I couldn't get the iPad to work today for some reason. So technology isn't wonderful. I remember you from last time we were live in Texas. I love Texas. I lived in the Sugar Land area for about 5 years. I miss Texas. I miss the food. I miss the people. It's a great place. So I love Texas, but it's hot there. Oh my goodness, it's hot. Not so hot here. We're barely breaking 80. I don't know, 82, maybe 81, 82 right now, but in Texas, it's probably like already 95. So kind of funny. I don't miss it much. The weather, that is, but I do miss everything else. So it's certainly a great state. I think what happens is, I think when a bunch of people get together and they start figuring out what they want in life, meaning they don't want the government to run their business and tell them what's right and what's wrong, then the state runs well. Federal government stays out of it, the state runs well. And otherwise, everybody else gets in it and messes it all up. So, Flamingo, PB Disaster Services. No, I have not. What do they do? Have you looked into them and found out what they're representing? I don't know what PB stands for. Maybe you can help me out, Flamingo. Welcome. How you doing? Houston, we got 2 Texans. I know you guys are so busy down there. Are you guys currently working as adjusters right now, or looking into the business? Because I know if you're there, you've got a ton of business going on right now. So there's so much going there. I wish they would call me up and say, "Wait, our guys cannot handle the work there," because maybe you could come and handle or come and help us. So anyway, so that's, I'm hoping that for Texas, they would send me over there. Oh, FEMA, cool, very cool. Yep, got to do my FEMA training tomorrow, last day. That's what I'm doing tomorrow, just to get my yearly update. So, yep. Well, you guys don't want to hear music, I'm sure. Oh, YouTube, Flamingo? Yeah. It's so funny is I don't work a whole lot of flood, so it's kind of ironic that for the last 5 years I've renewed my flood certification and not worked a whole lot. I guess it's just because I was busy doing regular property and never really needed to do flood. What I was kind of hoping is that maybe later in life, when I can't climb roofs anymore, then I would transfer over into flood work, because I just love roofs more. I like climbing roofs better. So I'm gonna keep climbing roofs rather than crawling around a crawl space or with my rubber boots on doing FEMA work. So, so that's just my thoughts. So okay, team, welcome, newbie. Hey, well, FEMA, it's going to take a while. You're going to get some experience. You got to get 3 years experience first before they're going to let you apply for your flood insurance policy or policy adjuster license. So typically, and that's going to be, it's going to be have to be where you have actually worked some significant amount of claims, not just having your license for 3 years and doing nothing with it. You're going to actually have to have a book of completed claims that they can review and, consider you an experienced adjuster for writing property damages before they'll let you get your FEMA license. But so you love working FEMA stuff, Flamingo. Tell me what you like most about it. Because to me, every flood that I've been on, it's nothing but a bunch of muck. and you're welcome, MT. So I'm not I went into one, and this was actually this was a sewer backup one. So it's very similar to flood. And that was in a basement, and the lady, she was a hoarder. She had everything in the basement, 4 feet of stuff all over the place, and there was 3 feet of water in the basement, and all our stuff's floating, and it was a horrendous mess. We couldn't even get down there to even measure practically the basement, let alone, wondering why the water wasn't leaving. But it's because there was a backup, and the whole basement was flooding. But yeah, that's what you come across when you get into flood work, is you got standing water, you got mold, you've got rotten personal items, all over the place. So to me, flood is a tough cookie. It takes a special person to do flood, and I appreciate you, Flamingo, that you do that, because it's it's not my favorite cup of tea. I don't like working flood. I don't like working water claims that much. I like roofs. I like wind. I like hail. I like tornadoes. I like fires. I like lots of that stuff. So break-ins, you know, any type of investigative work, I like that. That's good stuff too. It's a lot of fun. Crime scene investigation type stuff, whereas you're out there taking photographs of intersections for liability factor, trying to figure out, you know, whose fault was it, who didn't yield the right of way in an accident scene. Another one I got into recently was interesting, was emergency trucks. Okay, so this one is where you've got a truck that overturns or gets in a wreck on a highway, middle of the night, falls asleep. Well, the insurance gets involved because we have to go out and inspect the freight that's on that truck that may have been damaged. Now, we don't care much about the vehicle because that's a different policy thing. But we're dealing with the liability factor that trucker is going to have against all the equipment or all the stuff that's in that truck that they're carrying. So they want us to get out there, take photos, look at the manifest, you know, at least document what's on the truck, what got spilled. Maybe it was even hazardous materials, if there's going to be hazardous material cleanup. And this is all for the owner of the property, which is the person who's shipping the goods through that trucking company. It's their stuff. You know, somebody's paid them for the stuff, and the shipping company's shipping that product. And if that trucker falls asleep and ends up on the side of the road, well, they're out materials. They got all these people that are unhappy with the fact that their stuff's not being delivered. And that's an insurance claim. So those are kind of fun to work. Not as much for getting up in the middle of the night. You got a call in the middle of the night. You got to run out there to I-40, 20 or 30 miles down the road and investigate a truck that's tipped over or a guy fall asleep and somehow get in there and verify what contents are in that truck that got damaged. So that's an interesting kind of investigative thing. It's really cool because you get lots of privileges. You get to drive up all the policemen and shut off everything and flash the badge. And you go, I'm insurance adjuster. I'm here to check on the contents that's in the truck. And they just wave you on in. And it's kind of fun. You feel like you're an important person. So it's fun. So Malcolm, is it possible that claim companies allow ride-alongs for new adjusters for non-pay? I'm licensed. Yeah, so the insurance companies won't do it. So that's why I was recommending that to somebody today. Somebody was talking to me about how they could get some experience learning how to, learning from adjusters, local adjusters, like what to do. And one of the things I recommended, which is what I did, is I was in Houston, I actually called up an adjuster, and how I found him was on catadjuster.org, and I put in a search. There's a directory on that site, and you could put a search and find all the adjusters that are in a certain state or a certain city, and you can reach out to them on that site. You just contact them and introduce yourself and say, hey, I was wondering if I could ride along, carry your ladder, just pick your brain for a couple of days, just, on a couple of days you're doing claims. And so I did that, and that's how I got first exposed to the insurance world, is I had a guy who said, sure. Well, he had kind of a ulterior motive a little bit. He was hoping to hire me to work some of his claims and then only pay me a portion of the real claim of value, and then he could make the remaining. So kind of acting like a firm. He was wanting to do that. It was actually even more. So he's making the 60%, and then he's even trying to sub out the work to me and only paying me very, very little to do the job. And then he makes a little bit of that. Anyways, he was doing that just because he was getting too busy, and so he was going to hire some other people to do his claims for him, and then he would represent that he was actually doing them. So anyways, but the cool thing was I did ride along with him for 2 days, and he was doing inside claims. And after 2 days, and then we're sitting down at the computers and doing Xactimate, I was like, I don't need a whole lot more, kind of, what do you call it, exposure to actually know what was going on, because I was in construction already, and I had been writing estimates for a long time. So I was very familiar with the estimating side already. I was just like, well, what is the difference between me as a contractor estimator versus an insurance adjuster estimator. And when I rode around with him, I realized there wasn't a whole lot of difference. It was just a different way of writing estimates. So I would recommend riding along with somebody to kind of get a feel for what they do. Maybe you get lucky and get on a roof if you feel comfortable climbing a roof with them, and you'll really see, firsthand what they're looking for hail or wind. That's like the best training in the world. And if they're not paying you and you're just saying, hey, I'll carry a ladder around for you if you let me go with you, um, I'm sure they would let you. Some of the guys will do it. I don't specifically do it, but I thought it was a good thing when I did it. I thought it was really good. So that's a great opportunity for you, at least to get exposure to it, Malcolm, when you're brand new or when you're even just relatively new, just to see what things happen while you're out on the claims. All right, MT, is it hard when you start? Because I'm a bit worried if I get a call to get deployed, I'm new. Yes, actually, if you do get deployed as a first-time adjuster to a catastrophe, that's really, really hard. Like probably the hardest thing you'll ever do. But the great thing is that it only takes one. Get the exposure, learn what it's all about, and then you're going to get exposure to what happens on a catastrophe that's invaluable. And then what's good is that it won't ever get worse than your first one, because you just don't know what you're doing or what to expect in the first one, so it's really hard. But they do provide the carrier that would send you, or the firm that sends you, they normally set up these things called war rooms, and that's going to be like a local hotel that's close to the area. They're going to set up a lot of the managers in there, and then they're going to have a conference room that's rented or something, or a couple rooms. And that's where they're going to have any new adjuster that wants some help can bring their computer, bring their stuff, and sit in that room with a bunch of trainers and a bunch of managers and kind of get help so you don't get stuck. And so it's a really great opportunity on your first deployment, first catastrophe, to actually get some really great hands-on experience so you're not just pulling your hair out and going crazy on your first one. This. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me better now? Oh, my microphone may have died. Can you hear me now? Any better? Any better now? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Anybody hear me now? My microphone might have gone dead. Oh, good. Thanks. Yeah. Sorry, I got these little microphones. They're actually really kind of cool, but you don't know how much battery life they have. They just go dead on you. So, but anyways, what I was saying is they will send up war rooms, an area at a catastrophe site where they'll have lots of helpers there, so that when you get deployed, you will have a group of people like trainers, managers, and all that in a local hotel close to the catastrophe, that you can bring your computer, set yourself up, and you can have someone to help you when you get stuck. But then what I was saying is, don't go to the job, don't go to a catastrophe unless you are level 1 and level 2 certified on Xactimate, which means you actually know how to really use the program, because it will frustrate you more than anything. If you don't have the knowledge on that Xactimate, it's just going to frustrate you. You might have all this information up in your head on how to write the estimate, but then you can't figure out how to do it on the program. It'll drive you nuts. So always make sure you got good training on that. Timba, besides Pilot, which firm do you most recommend for new property adjusters? I like Alacrity, which was Worley. I've heard Eberl's is very good. Um, I worked for Wardlaw. I thought they were very good when I was working for them. Let's see who else. Goodness, there's so many. For as far as new ones, though, I would definitely go with the bigger ones. And the reason why I say the bigger ones is that they're going to hire more people. So the smaller firms might be good, but they may only have a select group of people that they have as their core group. And that might only be 10. So if they get deployed to a catastrophe, they may only ask those 10 people to go. Whereas Alacrity or some of these bigger ones, they might send 100 or 200 or 500, depending on how big the group is or how big the catastrophe is. So I always recommend going with the bigger firms. Number one, because they can deploy more people. Number two, because they handle more carriers. So the smaller firms, they may only have 5 or 6 insurance companies that they're handling work for, maybe even less. And the big firms, like Alacrity, they are handling, I don't know, 25 different insurance carriers. So your chances of getting work with them is a lot higher when you are working for a bigger firm. And same with Pilot. Pilot handles a lot too. Wardlaw handles a fair bit. And so they're going to all the big events. They're getting all the big deployments, and you can find work through them. So yeah, if you get on with them, I think your chances are good. And then when I was telling you guys on some of my videos is that I recommend getting on about 40 firms. And that's just go to catadjuster.org, go down and get the most popular ones, and just apply to all the top 40 popular ones. And it's going to take you a ton of time. I mean, I'm not trying to tell you how easy it is, because it's not. Filling out those rosters is extremely time consuming, but you only have to do it once. And then occasionally update as maybe you get a new catastrophe you can add to your resume. So that's a part of the process, is that you gotta remember, the more firms you're on, the more chance you have that in a catastrophe event, they will call you or ask you to deploy, or potentially handle some daily claims in that area, wherever you live. So that's, the more the better. So, and in fact, I've been slow for the last 3 or 4 months. I went ahead and started applying to more firms, calling up some old ones that I was on, and which I haven't worked for in, some of them 8 years. Just told them, hey, I was kind of slow, just wondering if you got anything, and then signing up to some new ones that did not exist back when I was applying to my first group of firms. And that's just all part of the business. It's like, hey, when you're slow, or if you feel like you got enough work, or if you don't have enough work and you're slow, you want to add more firms. I mean, just keep on adding them until somebody calls you and gives you work. Because here's the thing, you can always turn them down. If 5 of them call you and say, we got tons and tons of claims, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm already booked up for 2 weeks, I can't handle anymore, you can be honest with them and just say, I'm just booked. I'm sorry, I can't take anymore. I'd hate to promise you that I can help you, I'm just booked. Or on the flip side, when you're super slow, you got 10 firms or 15 firms, and every one of those is only giving you 1 claim, well, then you could have some work and stay pretty busy doing that. So it works out. The numbers work out well. It's kind of stressful working for lots of different firms and lots of different carriers. A little bit stressful, but when you're new, you want to do that route. You want to do it as much as you can, get as many rosters as you can, get as many work potential opportunities out there. And then eventually what'll happen is someone, and it could be even one of the smaller firms, they have a need, and they say, we don't have anybody in your area that works this carrier. We're wondering if you could be our primary guy or gal that works in that area. So that's really cool. I mean, I think that's how I found some of my work, was one of the local adjusters that was in this area ended up moving away, and there was a vacancy. And I had been plugging this firm for a long time, saying, hey, if anything opens up in this area, please make sure you give me a call. And sure enough, they gave me a call and said, hey, opportunity's open, do you want it? I'm like, absolutely. And so you may not get it right away, but it may come back later, which is really awesome. All right, I'm leery about some of the smaller, less known firms here. Sometimes they'll never pay you for your work. Well, I have heard you're talking about some that are are really tiny, Tim, but I think you're right. Those ones I'd be a little bit worried about, but that's why I said go to catadjuster.org and just get your top 20, top 30, top 40 firms. And what they do is they rate them on I don't know how they do the rating schedule. I think it might even be ratings of us as adjusters, or how many contacts they've had or queries they've had about them, or how many comments they have, or how many people have posted information or applied to their rosters. I don't know how they do the query thing, but they have them listed as the most popular from top to bottom. And so I just stay to the top 40 and then skip all the little baby ones that are brand new you never heard of. Well, you may not have heard of the bottom 20 ones, but yeah, just apply to the top 40, and they're all good. And those guys have been around a long time, and they have requirements. And insurance world is pretty honest, I would say. I would say probably like 95% honest in the way that they pay. They want to get paid because they make a portion of your income. So, they're going to do the diligence to make sure they're billing properly, that you're getting paid, they're getting paid. So that's kind of cool when you have somebody kind of looking out after your invoicing for you. That's really cool. And they've caught a lot of mistakes where I've billed wrong, and they correct them because they want to make sure they're billing the insurance company right too. So there's a lot of accountability there, and generally speaking, very good. The only time I've heard of people that don't pay was when it was during a really big catastrophe event. I can't remember the firm it was, but I heard rumors. I did not work for the firm, but I heard rumors in the big building we were in. I was working for State Farm at the time as a desk adjuster. And one of the rumors got around that somebody was delaying a paycheck a week. They were supposed to pay and they didn't. So yeah, it's out there. It's happened before, but I have a feeling it was just because there was, something going on with their billing system or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know that it was intentional. The site you said you were looking up Texas to find adjuster. Oh yeah, so that's called catadjuster.org. Malcolm, you got to get yourself listed on that site. There's a directory. That is the most important website for adjusters, I think, around, because it allows you to set up a profile about yourself, allows you to post your resume, and allows you to tell what state you live in. And so what happens, the reason why this is so valuable is firms, when they're looking for people, they have a classified section also on that, and they get to post and say, hey, we're looking for X amount of adjusters that live in this area. And so they post advertisement for work all the time. So if you're looking for work, that's the place to go to find it. Also, if you guys are looking for other discussion, I have a Discord. If you look in the description of this video, my link for the Discord. Discord is a chat that I have a whole section on people that know about work deployments or work opportunities. It's filled all the time. There's tons of people on it. They're talking about all sorts of things. Talk about Xactimate. They're talking about adjuster problems, new questions, how to find certain items in Xactimate, problems, with the material identification. Guys, I set that Discord up for the exact reason of helping you guys, so that if you have questions, you can now go and have 500 people right there that can answer your questions for you, that are good adjusters. Some of them are really good, some of them are new. And the Discord has lots of information about work opportunities. But what I was saying about the profile, the reason why the profile is really important on catadjuster.org is that I have had multiple opportunities where I have found work from a firm that called me by doing a search. So they did a search for any adjuster that was in North Carolina, and they were looking for the specific experience level, and mine happened to be the one they were looking for. They said I was the first person they called, and I got to work. And I was thrilled because they reached out to me, a firm I've never heard of, and I'm working for them, and I'm making killer money for them. So and it's time and expense, which is actually the best way to work as an adjuster, anywhere. And so anyways, that's why I just speak so highly of catadjuster.org, is because it just really works for me. And it's 11 years now I've been doing this, and it's brought me a lot of work. I've actually got a lot of work from it. So really good. Check it out. And also don't forget to get on my Discord. MT, I'm going to explain a little more about ladder assist position. Yeah, so that's for people who are wanting to assist an adjuster with how to get onto very tall roofs. It's either 2-story or bigger. And what I use ladder assist, meaning I call them up and I say, look, I need some help getting on this 3-story townhome. And so we got to set a ladder up on the deck, which is up 1 story. Then we got to set a ladder on top of the deck to get 2 stories up to the 3rd story. So a ladder assist program is really good for someone who wants, you don't make as much as an adjuster, but you do, it's a good way to get started, get some practice climbing really steep roofs, but it's only really for someone who's really comfortable climbing really tall roofs, steep roofs, and has lots of equipment for safety. So you're gonna have to have super tall ladders, probably a Ridge Pro, a goat, pitch hopper, lots of your safety equipment, rope and harness, whatever you need to make yourself safe. It's not for a new person. It's not for a new person. This is gonna be somebody who's experienced climbing ladders, there's very full but can't get work doing an adjuster work. This is a great way to get in, get some experience, and help out some adjusters. And then you get to talk with the adjusters, and it's kind of cool too. You learn a lot of stuff. All right, Phil, welcome. What certificates, in addition with all lines, would you recommend for cats in Texas? I've been eyeing the Xactimate. Also, what level do you think you need? The pay difference, Xactimate 1, 2, 3. So you don't need level 3, Xactimate. You absolutely need level 1 and 2. And the reason being is most firms will not even consider you for work unless you are level 1 and level 2 certified. The reason being is they don't even consider you experienced in software if you aren't well enough understood in the program to get level 1 and level 2 certified. I was told this by many managers at the very beginning when I was looking for positions, and they said, you're not level 1 and level 2 certified, we won't even look at you. So get it done. I never had to recertify. So once you've done it once, you just put it on your resume, and then once you're using the software, there's really not anything that you're going to run into that you're just going to go, oh, I wish I'd got that level 3 certification. You're not going to need it. Level 3 is going to be like really, really difficult drawing, but the more you draw on level 2, the more you draw in Xactimate, you're going to learn how to draw the more complicated things that are in the level 3 certification. You don't need the certification. Nobody's asked me ever for it. They don't even ask me if I have level 1 and level 2 anymore. Because once you're working and you're actually turning in a pretty decent looking estimate, like I said, that certification means nothing anymore. They just see that you know how to use the software because you turned in a great estimate and a great product. And so that's all that matters. But getting in the door at the beginning, definitely. As far as any other certifications, if you want to get some type of safety, wouldn't hurt to get rope and harness, steep and tall training. Those are good ones to put on your resume because it shows that you've learned how to be safe. The other certifications are going to be for each specific carrier. So State Farm, Liberty Mutual, goodness, there's probably a ton more that I don't know about, but there are different carriers that require you to have a certification in order to handle their insurance. So if you want to work for those big carriers, then you have to get through their certification. Those are going to be the ones that you can do separately, get them online. You can go with anybody. I used Adjuster Pro when I was doing it originally, and not an endorsement for them whatsoever, just who I used. But I've heard some other people say good and bad. So again, I'm not endorsing them at all. I'm just saying that's what I did. But that was, 12 years ago. So you're welcome, Malcolm. Yeah, where did I get my rope and harness certificate? I didn't actually get the certification. And the reason being is that I was already very comfortable with climbing roofs. I think today it doesn't hurt starting out to actually to build your resume with some great things on it that prove that you're a professional. And again, you get the certification. I think at that time Worley was doing it. That's the same as Alacrity. They did it in their shop down in Louisiana. So you go there for a 4-hour class. They teach you rope and harness certification. You're done. Pay them a couple $100. It's good. And like I said, it tells on your resume, it's something that says I'm a professional, I'm trained. and it makes people feel comfortable that hire you. So at the beginning, I would say get as many as you can because it can really help you get hired. But in the long run, you don't have to keep it up. You don't have to renew it. None of that. It's not necessary. All right, Phil, and for the newbie to the game, would you recommend immediately jumping into cats just for the cost and time benefits? Phil, the chances of you getting deployed immediately first as a cat are going to be difficult, but not impossible. As far as if you are licensed, number one, in all the states that potentially could have a hurricane, that's going to be your first big expense. Getting your certifications for the carriers is going to be your next step. Then your Xactimate level 1 and level 2. You're going to have to be proficient at this stuff before you're going to feel comfortable going on a catastrophe. And I don't know, trying to give you the best example of what it's like. It's kind of like, and this might be an over an exaggeration of an example, but it would be like if somebody said, okay, here's your white gown, or here's your blue gown, here's your mask, here's your hat. Now I want you to go in and perform that surgery on that guy that's laying on the table. Okay, you don't have any skills. You don't have any training. You don't have, you don't understand what's going on, like what the ins and outs of everything that you're getting into. Okay, you might have the ability to use a scalpel and you might know how to sew somebody up, but you don't know what you're doing. So the problem is you're going to be put into a very stressful situation. Not that anyone could die, but a very stressful situation that you're not prepared for. To me, even today, catastrophe is a level 10 event in stress level and skill level for me. Okay, so that's putting me to the top of my game. To be efficient, to be productive, to be to have all the aspects of a catastrophe. You gotta remember, you're going to a new location, you're in a hotel, you've packed, make sure you brought all your stuff with you. Normally you're exhausted from the drive getting there because you're carrying all your ladders and your gear, whatever stuff. It's a long drive a lot of times, so you're super tired when you get there. But while you're going there, you're on the phone booking 20 to 100 claims ready for dropping, on the spot. As soon as you get in town, you're inspecting 5 a day. It's insanity, absolute insanity for a person that's brand new to be able to handle that kind of stress. So my recommendation, and this is for every new adjuster, I mean, yes, the dream is to go catastrophe. Yes, the dream is to get daily work. But honestly, the best bet for you is to start as a desk adjuster. You're still going away from town. You're going to these different locations. Potentially could get a remote position where you stay home. That's even the better option. They're doing a lot of those now. But you get to go to a location. You have trainers, managers, and a lot of people in the same boat that really don't know what they're doing, but you have such an incredible system of they're ready to train you and teach you. It's a great opportunity to learn, to feel comfortable because everybody around you is in the same boat. You're kind of there's no dumb questions because you're all asking the same questions. You've got trainers that are willing to help and excited to help. You can learn a lot more in that situation in just a 2 or 3 month deployment on a catastrophe event, meaning you're sitting at a desk handling all the catastrophe events, not going out and adding all that stress to the outside with traveling and weather and demolition and debris in the roads and flat tires and trying to get food and wash your clothes, do all the stuff while you're still trying to handle all these claims. It's chaos. It's absolute chaos. But there's a lot of benefits to it financially. But again, going to be for the seasoned adjusters who have already streamlined their work at home, know what they're doing, know how to do things really well, are very good at the software. I can write an estimate in less than an hour. So those are types of things that, when a new adjuster, I remember, I was taking 4 hours to write that 1 hour estimate. So I don't have time to do that on a catastrophe and also handle 4 or 5 of those a day. I just don't have the ability to do it. So the stress level is insane. And then you got to remember, you're turning in a product that may not be exceptional, and then you're going to get returned from the file reviewer that says, here's all the errors that are in the estimate, that's what you're going to get the second day after you turn in your first claims. And so the second day is filled with tons of errors and tons of corrections, and you're still having to inspect new ones that same day as well. So think about it. It wouldn't take long before you're ready to pull your hair out and go, this isn't for me, because it's total chaos. So you got to be at the top of your game when you go to those catastrophes. All right, let's see what else we got. Francisco, level 10 stress dies when you get the first check for claims closed. Yeah, you're right. You're so true. No, like I say, the money is really worth it. That's why I love going to do it. I have a privilege of going IA from the very beginning. John, very good. Man, that's very good. Restoration contract background, however, I've been exposed to the industry for quite a while. Yeah, exactly. And so that's the same thing with me, John, is that I was in the construction business as a home builder and remodeler for 18 years before doing this job. So when somebody said write an estimate, I was like, okay, how hard is that? I've been doing it for 18 years. So the difference is it was an insurance estimate, which is totally different than a contractor's estimate. And you'll learn more about that as time passes. It's just a little different, and it's not really a repair estimate. It's more of like write exactly what is damaged. So if I got a 4-foot piece of base that's been cut out by remediation, well, I'm writing for 4 feet of base. 4 feet of base. Well, the problem is, as a contractor, I'm not going to replace 4 feet of base. I'm going to go from corner to corner because it doesn't look right when I piece a piece of baseboard in. So I'm going to take that baseboard off. I'm going to run a 12-foot piece from end to end, paint it all, make it look beautiful. Well, the insurance company doesn't pay for that. Unless I can say as a supplement, which I would as a contractor, I would say, well, it wasn't 4 feet of base, it was actually 12. And I would put it in as a supplement. But I can't write an estimate for 12 foot, meaning how a contractor would repair it, because that's not an insurance estimate. So that was something I had to learn at the very beginning, that estimates are not always the same. They're very different between a contractor and the insurance company. Nothing wrong with it, because we can always add in supplements later. And I think the reason why they do that is because, and I don't remember the exact statistic, but a majority of people, like say example, 80%. So if I do a patch on a ceiling for drywall, meaning I got a little water stain and I got to patch this drywall. Well, as an insurance company, I'm required to paint the ceiling all over, wherever it's attached. Well, the typical homeowner, when they get that check, is not going to paint their entire ceiling. I hate to say it, but the typical person is not going to do that. They're going to spray a little primer on that, find whatever flat paint ceiling paint they can find at Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's, paint that little thing up there and be done with it, even if it doesn't match. And the insurance company knows that. So what they're going to do is they're going to pay for very little, meaning they're going to pay only the actual cost of that at the moment, and they're going to hold back a portion, which is called the recoverable depreciation. They're going to hold back a portion of that payment first until the person can say and prove, I painted my entire ceiling. So I think that's the reason why they do some of the minor estimate writing. It's not that it's incorrect, because they're actually only supposed to write for the actual damage that would occur. So they're writing a correct estimate, just not a contractor's estimate, if that makes sense. All right. That makes sense to everyone. Hey, don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you guys find this content interesting or helpful. Appreciate it. I'm glad you guys came. So we're had a couple more people come into the chat. Where are you guys living? You guys around any of the hail damages that occurred in some of the big states? I know Texas can't seem to keep away from the hail and the water and the wind. Are you using Xactimate mobile? And if so, are you estimating on site? I dropped my macros in the room and I had my scope notes and photo and closed my computer in the truck. All right, very cool. Yeah, I have not moved into Xactimate mobile, Francisco. I have tried it a couple times and I don't like doing it that way, only because I think I spend a little bit more time in the house than I feel comfortable doing. And the reason being is that if I'm there for 45 minutes to an hour, I found the people are a little impatient with me being in their homes that long. And I also get interrupted quite a bit during the time that I'm there writing the estimate. So I typically, what I'll do is sketch it out. I'm very good at sketching. Yes, I'm doubling up because I'm sketching it on paper and then going home and sketching it on the computer. I am. But my focus when I'm there is taking really good photos. And the photos to me are how I can document all the loss without having to do a whole lot of writing down, except for maybe some lengths of damage or square footage of damage. You know, if there's floor missing, then I'll do a quick calculation for the square footage of the flooring and measure the base that's missing. But the very little note writing that occurs in my estimating, like when I'm doing a water loss, and my photos are the key part. The mobile does sound like a great option to me, but again, putting me in a house a lot longer than I want to be there, whereas my inspections on interior are 15 minutes, then I'm in somebody's house at the max, unless it's a big one like a whole house flood or a fire. Obviously I'll be there an hour or more. But yeah, so I'm typically in and out of those people's houses, letting them get on with their day. I can do more inspections that way and then be home earlier so that I can spend more time at home in my comfort, in my home, writing all the estimates rather than being in front of somebody's face and in their house. And these people have, you know, things to do. They want to get to work. I don't want to hold them up. So that's part of the reason why I don't want to be in their home a long time too. Steve, do you think it's a conflict of interest to be a roof salesman while it's slow as long as I don't adjust the same roof that I'm trying to sell? Yes, Steve, I do believe it's a conflict of interest, and I'll tell you why. Because when I was applying for adjuster's licenses, and I'm kind of a nerd for that, is that I actually read all the small print in these documents on when you become an adjuster. And there's a lot of information in there about conflicts of interest. And one of those conflicts, I was a licensed builder, and so the problem is their language stated I could not be a contractor for anything similar or related to this insurance adjusting career. So I could not be another estimator. I could not work as a contractor. I could not work as a restoration company. I could, you know, there were lots of those overlapping languages basically saying you are giving up that right to be a contractor because it has the potential to be a conflict of interest. Doesn't mean it is at the moment, but the temptation to become a conflict of interest is super high. So, I mean, think about it. If you're put in a situation where you're standing in a house and you got an 80-year-old grandmother who's and this, I'm telling you a story that happened, okay? And she's sitting there and she's just pouring her heart out to me at the door after I told her she had hail damage on the roof. There was not a contractor involved. And she said to me, she said, I am so sad. I don't know anybody. All the people that I knew, my husband used to handle all of that type of repair. Do you have anybody you could recommend? Anybody at all? And then I said, ma'am, I can't do that. It's against my code of ethics. I can't do that. And then she was almost crying in front of me, begging me for a contractor referral. Now, I didn't give her anybody. I just told her, go on Google, look up, try and find somebody 4.5 stars or above. That's the best advice I could give her. But I also have lots of roofer friends that I could have referred her to. But that would have been a conflict of interest as well. Now, you're saying, no, conflict of interest is if you benefit from that, meaning you would get pay for that. Well, so here's the flip side. Somewhere down the line, I may need a steep and tall guy. And if I have a favor out there hanging because I referred a roofer to this person, he benefited from doing the roof, he's going to feel like he owes me a favor for, anytime he needs an extra ladder to get on a roof, give me a call. There's that. It's not monetary, but it's a favor thing. It's a conflict of interest. So now you flip it in the fact that you're a roofer and you're a salesman, then you potentially could be tempted one day, if you get a grandma like that who's just dying for a service, to even say, well, my friend, is a roofer. And then maybe your friend, works for the same company. So it's just a gray area. And honestly and personally, I just wanted to let you guys know that adjusting is a very tricky business when it comes to gray areas. And there is no gray areas. Okay, as soon as you start delving into the gray area, now I'm gonna tell you the gray area that I'm talking about. Say you get to an inspection and this specific carrier wants you to specifically photograph every room in the house, even if it's not damaged. Okay, so it's quite a headache. And there are carriers that do that. And you gotta walk around and, take photos of people's houses and their personal spaces. And they're like, I don't feel comfortable with this, type thing. Well, what if one day you forgot to do that? You forgot to take the photos. Your desk adjuster or the file reviewer is gonna say, this carrier expects photos of all the interior of the house and you didn't get them. Here's the gray area that you're gonna be tempted to do because say it's 30 minutes, 40 minutes away from your home and you would have to go back and get those photos or talk to the owner and say, hey, can you send me photos of your room? And then the owner's gonna be like, no, I'm not sending you photos of my house, whatever. You're gonna be tempted, this is the gray area, to say, customer did not feel comfortable with me taking photos of their house when they didn't say that. And the reason why you might be tempted to do that is because you don't want to drive back there or have that conversation with that customer about the thing you forgot to do. Now, this happens, believe it or not, at the beginning, it happens a lot. And you've got to set in your mind as an adjuster that you're never going to cross that gray area. You're never going to put a lie, even a white lie as they call them, which there's no such thing. You're never going to put a lie on your report to say you talked with somebody, that you asked them if, they stated this when they didn't, or the homeowner didn't feel comfortable with me looking around their house when they didn't say that. There's lots of gray area stuff, guys, that we got to stay away from. And that contractor thing, that's the thing that I'm talking about is if you get into this business, yes, I understand there'll be some slow times, and I'm dying too. And guess what? I've had tons of people say, why don't you go back into contracting? And I could get work in a second if I wanted to. But I can't because that's a gray area, okay? And I don't want to get into that scenario if somebody found out that I was working contracting work on the side, okay? It's just a gray area. You don't want to get into it. So unfortunately, I'm having to eat it right now. Work is slow, not making a whole lot of money, going through savings, and you're just going to have to eat it. And hopefully, just through your persistence of going through and finding more work, finding new firms, plugging along, you're going to get blessed later on, and it'll take care of you. So. Oh, cool, Francis. So yeah, I use the Bluetooth disto as well. And I never used AR Sketch. I didn't find it was accurate. So you're right. I love the disto. The disto is the best tool I use. So how do I feel about AI and homeowners taking pictures and the future of insurance carriers transitioning away from independent adjusters? I don't believe we will ever transition away from independent adjusters. Now, AI is too new and too sloppy right now. Okay, so that's not to say in 5 years it won't be really wonderful. The positions that the AI is going to take over is going to be customer service. It's going to be the menial beginning jobs, taking your claim, taking your address, your phone number, setting up the claim, giving an email address, giving the facts of loss in a case. So all your basic stuff. So lots of claims. Okay, so this is going to handle, or it's going to affect a lot of claims. Okay, and this is going to be your beginning claims, all your liability for auto claims, all your possibly even your medical stuff at the beginning, some medical claims when you're calling in and saying, hey, I got a chiropractor appointment or whatever, I got medical bills involved with that, a lot of this stuff, okay? But an AI is never going to be able to climb a roof. I mean, and people are going to want someone from the insurance company coming to their house. I don't think we're going to get to the point where people say, I'm fine with talking with a computer all the time. No, because I get people all the time. People say, I'm so glad, it's so nice to put a face with the insurance company, and you're so nice, and I'm so glad you came out, you're so fast, and you're so polite. that reflects good on the insurance company. And I think the insurance company sees it as, I don't think we can ever take that away, because as long as people feel like, hey, I'm paying money, I want to see my agent and I want to see my adjuster whenever something goes wrong. And you take those away, and all of a sudden the customer's going to be like, I never see anybody. I don't know if this insurance company is real. There's never anybody showing my face. I'm always talking to a computer. And that's going to make people mad. So I think AI will take away the beginning jobs, all the menial jobs, the recording, the facts of loss kind of things. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, a desk adjuster has to make a decision finally based on coverages on the estimate that they see from us. And we have to physically get on a roof to inspect that roof for damages, or go into people's houses and get close-up shots. The photos will never, AI is not going to walk around and take photos. People aren't, every photo that I have received from an insured, and I'm saying every one, is horrible, okay? They don't know how to take photos, what we're looking for. If I tell people, they'll send me a photo later and say, I found some new damage. And I'm like, well, where is it? Can you take me an overview photo, and then take me a medium photo and take me a close-up? They send me a close-up, and that's all I get. And they can't take measurements of the room, so they're not helping me in that respect if I got to paint the ceiling. So there's just a lot of things that are missing on the AI side that could never take over a person going to somebody's house. So I'm not worried about it at all. So independence will be around forever. Oh yeah, the Matterport. Yeah, well, that's a dream job. Yeah, anybody would love to have a Matterport. That's like a dream come true, but I'm not putting out that expense yet. Yeah, 5 to 10 years, I think, is probably a good aspect, or a good guess for what AI will do, taking over the small jobs. Yeah, AI is great. I mean, I can use it for writing emails and responding to people's texts, and lots of great things I'm using AI for right now, ChatGPT, and there's just a lot of things. If I have to write a letter explaining the facts of loss to somebody, I mean, it's always great. Yeah, I love what it can do. Plus, how can you deny a claim when no one showed up in person? Yeah, that's so true. Strict to the guidelines, I would love to see the insurance carrier allow homeowners to take pictures. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's so true. It's the same thing. Like, for instance, I just had one the other day. It was a theft claim. Okay, so you got a guy who, and I hear it all. I mean, everybody does this. They show you things that obviously weren't stolen, because you're sitting there going, and the guy will say, yeah, we had 5 TVs and 5 Nintendo's, whatever it was, PlayStations, and 3 iPads, and a couple of Xboxes or whatever. We had a safe in the closet, had $2,000 in money in it, and they just go on this list of things. But I went to a mobile home, like an 80-foot by 12-foot mobile home, and I'm like, where did you have 5 TVs? And I walk in the house, so that's why we still have to go there, because I'm like, okay, well, show me where these TVs were mounted. And we didn't have them all mounted. They were just sitting on counters and tables and stuff. We didn't have them mounted. I'm like, okay. What furniture were they sitting on? We moved the furniture around. And I'm like, I can't see but one spot in the whole house where a TV might have sat. Yet he's telling me he's got 5. I'm just like, so the whole point is that we are still going to have to go on site to verify everything. Well, it's just like, can you imagine walking out, like I get these claims where a car has driven into the pillar in between 2 garage doors just by accident. They ran in, they missed the opening, and they hit it. So could you imagine a homeowner taking a photo for us to show us framing damage, movement of that load-bearing wall, the cracks in the brick, maybe cracks in the floor cement, the bent track on the garage door, just endless photos that we have to take in order to, we know what we're looking for when we take those photos. Homeowner doesn't. So they'll take 4 photos and send it in and say, here's the damage, and you can't see anything in the photos. So that's where I think AI is never going to take over. Robots are not going to be walking out of people's houses. I don't know. I think I'll be dead and gone before anybody gets me replaced by a robot that can climb a roof. So I'm not worried about it. It's a fun thought, though. I mean, I like technology, but the, you know, why don't you just, here's the thing. So on drones, they already have technology that can read hail damage. It can actually see hail damage, map it, and post it on a photo and count the number of hail damages they have. I mean, they have the ability, the technology to do that. Insurance company won't allow us to use it, okay? Even though they have it. And they could pay for the software or make us pay for the software and let us never climb a roof. And just get out there, fly our drone with this technology on it, map the roof, measures it, maps the amount of damages, and it's right every time. It's not like it's a gray area of one adjuster to the next deciding, we don't have a roofer up there trying to mark all these marring marks and saying they're hail damage. We wouldn't have any of that gray area stuff if they'd allow us to use drones in this technology. So that's what I'm going to see as the next technology that will come out. And it's going to be a while, but until they recognize that that software is acceptable, we're not going to see it. And then once they do, they're still going to need me to fly it. And so that's why I carry my drone license, because I know sometime in the future they're going to allow me to do it. So, oh yeah, the wind-driven debris, absolutely. You're right. Like I said, there's always a flaw that's going to stop something from working perfectly, and that's, I guess, exactly why they make adjusters climb the roofs, is because we can spot those things. Like, for instance, how many times I've got down on a roof to be able to see that there's a sagging part in a roof that I could not see if I was just looking at it from above. I have to put my tape measure down, see that there's a dip, take a photo of that to show there's this huge dip, and show that's where the water's leaking from. But I could never see that if I was standing up straight. So, yeah, the tack strip, absolutely. And here's the thing, it might have been that way from day one when they installed it. They installed it in cold weather, the tack strip dried out before it adhered, and so the entire roof is that way, no doubt. So if you have an all lines Texas adjuster license, do you deal with cars as well? Yeah, so when I first started, I was doing auto. I had a Texas all lines, that was my first license, and I was working auto. I worked liability, I worked total loss for a long time. Then I got pushed into SIU, which is Special Investigation Unit. Yeah, worked about 2.5 years doing auto claims. And then I did scene investigation. That's all under your adjuster's license. Now you can do crops, you can do boats. But again, here's the thing, if you're gonna be a boat adjuster, well, you better have some experience estimating boat damage. And there are some boat certifications that need to come along with that as well. So yeah, you can do any type of insurance. Like, I'm not going to walk out to a crop and investigate a crop loss if I have absolutely no idea what the yield of wheat is, or the yield of corn, or or the price of corn, or even an average price of corn, or how they sell it. Whether it's by the bushel, by the pound, So here's the thing, you're gonna have to get some specialized training in order to be a crop adjuster. It's a great opportunity for work, but you gotta get some skills. So that's, all right. Elias, thanks for joining us. Currently taking my pre-licensing course in the state of Georgia. Do you have any tips for me? Well, you're doing the right thing. So pre-licensing courses are pretty much a great help for getting licensed. They just study all the extra material that they refer you to. Just get familiar with it, know what they're asking. I used Quizlet quite a bit when I was taking courses. That's online, you can find those. So you can put in Georgia license and then do Quizlet, and they'll give you a lot of flashcards where you can practice that. That's a great way to learn too. And so it's just a process. If you're not good at taking tests like me, then it just takes extra studying. Yeah, State Farm, way too strict. Yeah, they always were. And they're not going to switch to AI for a long time because they want to have their hand on it. All right. You got 2 boat inspections tomorrow, small personal equipment and a 60-foot Viking yacht. Oh, that's so cool. Do you have experience, Francisco, in estimating boats, or is this something brand new to you? That's really cool. I would love to do that, but I don't live near the coast, so it doesn't work out for me. But yeah, really awesome if you've got that experience. A hurricane comes along and you got boats in 100 miles inshore, so, or maybe not that far, but 20 miles inshore, you got a boat sitting on the ground somewhere. But yeah, boats are no different than cars. You got to write an estimate. You got to take shots of the damage. And now, what software are they using to estimate boats? That would be a good question. I'd have to ask you, Francisco. I grew up around boats, owned plenty of boats, and worked on boats as a hobby. Oh yeah, well there you go. And it may be bid oriented only as far as the repairs, right? So you have to get bids from boating contractors. I don't think they have software for it, do they? Not like Xactimate. Xactimate doesn't have a boat section. So, oh, I'm always prepared for hurricane season. So I'm always ready, anxious, excited, always waiting. I think I have a couple of videos up, guys, about getting ready for that. It's going to be just carrying it. I have a cat bucket is what I call it. It's basically a big tub, and it's got everything in it that I need for the road. It's batteries, extra boots, extra chalk, extra pads for my boots, fix a flat, first aid kit. I mean, it's got a ton of stuff in it, and it's all ready to go. Batteries, and it's just prepared so that if I get deployed, then I just throw that bucket. And actually I keep the bucket in my car all the time. So it's always there, ready to go. But yeah, so hurricane season is great. What I like about hurricane season for North Carolina is that most of the time I'm not close enough to the beach where it's going to be ground zero for damage, but we're going to get a lot of stuff inland. So I get to stay home if something comes in this area. We typically have a very good hurricane season here. Lots of wind, lot of hail most of the time during those hurricanes. So it brings a ton of work. So I'm excited when they come. We don't get ground zero damage, but we get lots of damage. We got a lot of trees down and a lot of damage that way. Okay, so they don't estimate for boats. They just require 2 or 3 competitive. Yeah, well, that's simple then. That would be easy. What state should I get licensed in after I finish my Georgia test? So Elias, what I typically do is think about where all the hurricanes would hit. So your coastal states, so you got everything around the Gulf of Mexico, okay? And then you got Florida all the way up to North Carolina. Virginia does not have a license. Anything north of that, I wouldn't bother getting because they hardly ever get any storms up there. And then as far as inland, I would look for areas that are tornado related or hail related. So you got your Oklahoma. Let's see, you've got Arkansas, you've got Minnesota, Michigan. That's like a $5 license, so you can occasionally get that. Indiana's totally awesome. So yeah, those are the licenses that I have currently. I think it's like 12 or 13, but I'm just geared towards hurricane, and then my home state. And that's only just because if a hurricane comes, I want to be able to make sure that I have my licenses to be able to go if they need me. So that's all it is. And I've kept those forever. I don't plan on ever changing, so. All right, MT, I got a home inspector course just to know a little bit more about property. Do you think it's a good decision? That's not bad. I mean, if you don't know enough about houses, absolutely. Anything you can get that will help you as far as knowledge base, absolutely. It's a great opportunity. You could even do some work as a home inspector if you wanted to as well. I don't think that's a conflict of interest at all. That's not related to reconstruction. So I think that's a very good side job. But you'll find you'll get busy. The home inspectors, I knew a couple home inspectors and they got very busy. So you have to decide which one you want to do. All right, no software. We do photo report and Xactimate, take down recorded statements and review documents. Yeah, all T&E. Yeah, good work. That's a great job, Francisco. I think you will be very happy doing that, especially now because you have experience in the past. That's great. Good job. Steve, are you willing to deploy outside North Carolina for a hurricane? I know you're a daily adjuster. Oh yeah, absolutely. I would not hesitate for a moment. In fact, I've done that. I've done Texas, Florida, Louisiana, Minnesota, Michigan, Canada, Massachusetts. I don't think of another one. I think that was it. That's all my CAT adjuster experience. And that's just because of the fact that, and so when I was, some of those I was not working as a daily adjuster, and so I was lucky enough just to get deployed as a CAT adjuster for those. Most of the time I was, and all I did was just tell the firms that I was working for that I got deployed. And what was really cool is I was actually working for Alacrity most of the time for these firms anyways, and they called me probably in their first 1 to 3 people that they called for deployment. They told me this, is that I was in their top 5 that they would always call to see if I wanted to go. So once you get good, then they're going to call you almost on every event and ask if you want to go. For the last 3 years, I have not gone, only because of my own personal choice. Had some stuff going on at home, so I didn't go. And all I did was just tell my managers, no, I'm not going. But they still called me. They still called me and said, hey, you got an event, you want to go? And I'm like, wish I could. I got stuff going on, but I got to stay home on this one. And they're like, fine, no problem. And the reason why it worked out really well for me in this situation is that we had several adjusters in the area that did not do catastrophe work, that worked for the same firm. And so it was funny because one of my buddies here, he's like, are you going on CAT this year? And I'm like, I might. And he's like, good, because I really like it when you go. And the reason being is that he gets my overflow. So he takes over, and he's busy as a bee when he's here, because then I'm gone, not handling my stuff, and then he gets my stuff. So it works out really well if you work in an area where there's some overlapping adjusters, and you just make a great arrangement with your managers, and they're just like, we're happy to go. Now you realize I may not be able to bring you right back into full speed when you get back, but I'll ease you back in when you get back in. That's how it works out. And I'm like, well, that's fine, because I'm totally exhausted when I get back anyways, kind of need a little break anyways, so it works out perfect. So yeah, the perfect scenario is to be working daily claims on a regular basis, and then when a catastrophe event happens, go do it, come home, because you're home in 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe. Sometimes I was out for 3 months, 3 storms happened one right after another. So yeah, you can be gone for a very long time, but other times you can only be gone for 2 to 3 weeks. So it just depends. It really depends on the event. All right. Steve, with all the storms going on, it still seems not busy enough. It should be. You're right, because we just had a slow season. It's been very, very slow this, I think, personally, for me and for a lot of people. Do insurers pay for your deployments, room, board, food, and flight? No, they don't pay for anything, Elias. It's all, as an independent, you pay for everything. But you're making, really good money when you go, so you just try to be smart with your money when you go. Stay in some medium places, be smart with your food. Normally you want to drive, you don't want to fly because you can't take all your tools with you and your ladders and all that stuff. So, MT, learned so much here. Thank you very much. Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. Just give me a thumbs up then. I'll be happy with it. I'm glad to help. Phil, desk jobs for adjustment CAT claims was mentioned for learning experience. How long do you get over that hurdle before you start netting more than 70K? I saw Texas, they have average elementary school salary. Yeah, so most of the desk positions that I was doing, Phil, they were paying right at 100,000. I know the price has gone down because what they did is they took away the standard desk adjuster position at start was paying 100 grand. And then they made like a primary desk adjuster position, and then they were paying 70 or 60 or something. And that was only because they were less skilled. They didn't have to have licenses. There were a lot of things. They were kind of like glorified secretaries. They were trying to ease the burden of the real adjusters who were licensed, and they were just getting swamped taking new claims. So they started with a new group. So some of the carriers are doing that. Others are not. So others are still paying the 35, 75 or whatever it is per hour, 60 hours a week. During CAT, it's 70 hours a week, 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. So that can get kind of crazy. But like I said, it's great money. You're sitting at a desk. You can have takeout delivered every day if you want to the place where you're at. It's like one office that they take you all to. I mean, yes, they are shipped to different locations. Best thing to do is to try and find a monthly rental place. Lots of them out there. Stay with a bunch of people, find 2 or 3 guys, 2 or 3 girls, whatever, share the expense and find a place. Hey, you're only roughing it for 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 2 or 3 months, depending on how long the cat is. So great opportunity to get experience and get your feet wet. As an adjuster, I've handled bodily injury, commercial liability, property damage, boats, condos, fleet vehicles, and heavy machinery and trees. Best license and career ever. Oh yeah, that's an incredible resume, Francisco. Very good. You've handled way more than I have. So yeah, like I said, you can do a lot of different types of insurance with just one type of license. For instance, like the Texas All Lines allows you to do everything, and it's just a matter of getting that license and then getting the training if you need additional training on how to handle these things, because it's not all just black and white. Some of that stuff is a little gray, but like when I was handling commercial stuff, I loved commercial stuff because it was all bid. Did a fire station, okay? So all we did was contact the builder of the fire station. We had a flood in the fire station, a pipe burst, and they got 2-inch pipes running through their place with water. Anyway, so flooded the place. All the emergency equipment got flooded, radios, computers, intercom, whatever, all this different stuff got damaged, along with the precast, the walls, desk equipment, furniture, whatever. Anyway, so all we had to do was contact the builder, the contractor who built the fire station, had him come meet me, showed all the damage, and said, hey, get me a bid to fix this thing. And and was like, and then I called like the radio guy, and same thing. I got a sticker on the radio, and so I said, hey, can you come out and give me a bid to replace this unit? And so I just, in Xactimate, just listed out the bid items for repairing all the different items on it, sent it to the insurance company, got paid time and expense to do what I was doing. It was very good money and very easy. It takes time to close those claims, but they're relatively easy. 4 years in, only about what you're willing to learn, also network and go to the meet and greets. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, that's not much experience, but you've done a lot in 4 years. Very good. As an experienced adjuster, I've learned to dislike water claims. Steve, I'm right there with you. I am so right there with you. I want to climb roofs. I want to climb roofs. They're big money, big pay, and I can do them fast. Water, pain in the neck. You write 300, 500, 600 lines, and you make as much as a small little roof. So it's just, drywall doesn't pay much. Doesn't pay much. A little baseboard repair. Now, if you get into some flooring repairs, you might actually get your estimate up a little bit. If you have some tile or some nice engineered wood or something like that, or real wood floors, something like that. But still, it's generally speaking, all the stuff that's involved, like getting ITEL for cabinets now that's come out new. I don't know if you guys are doing that. That's the biggest pain in the neck. I'm sitting there for 30 minutes writing up a stupid ITEL on their app for getting an estimate for a cabinet repair that has, one side panel and a kick panel damage, and it takes 30 minutes on the stupid app to write up. So I don't know. I hope that thing goes away soon because it's quite a pain in the neck. And then when we get it, it's like a $6,000 estimate to repair the cabinets, and then they reject it. They reject the estimate because they say it's an unreasonable estimate. And so then they tell us, go in and write Xactimate for end panel and kick panels. It ends up being, $600 or whatever. And yeah, that sounds more realistic. It's like, well, that's all we've been doing all along. So why are we changing it now? It's like, now we got Renovar and ITEL doing cabinet estimates. We're the biggest rip-off company in the world, writing these $6,000 estimates for $700 worth of damage, So anyways, that's my little rant. I don't think much of it, but the carriers learn over the long time, because I sit there and I go, are you serious? $3,500 for a bunch of kick panels? Are you serious? And I'll put it in, and the carrier accepts it and pays it. And I'm just like, that's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. All right, guys. Any other questions? I'm going to be heading out of here in 5 minutes. Well, I'm so thankful for you guys to come by. Don't forget, I do sell my macros, which help you to write estimates. So if you guys are looking for a way to write estimates quicker, the macros are just basically shortcuts for writing the similar items that you write every day and writing an estimate. There's my link in the description. Also, if you guys want a consultation call, I do calls for an hour where I'll talk to you personally about your road down the adjuster world. Do that as well. So if that interests you, check it out. Oh, I do, Phil. I just talked about it. A direct line for asking questions. My uncle owns a life insurance firm and knows little to nothing of the adjuster's responsibilities. Oh, that's funny, Phil. Yeah, if you want to chat, absolutely. Hook me up on the consultation line. I'll be more than happy to help you. You're welcome, Francisco, anytime. You're religiously watching me and Googling what I can for my own pre-exam course. Very good, Phil. Well, thank you. That's an honor. I can see how rookie adjusters can make a killing with roof claims, way less revisions and headaches. Yeah, absolutely, Steve. Like I said, my first deployment was a hail claim, or hail catastrophe up in Abilene, Texas. I knew nothing. I knew Xactimate pretty good, I thought, but I knew nothing about writing these estimates. And it was the worst experience of my life because it was really stressful and I had a really bad file reviewer. But I learned enough during the 3 weeks that I was there to say, after it was done, I'm wiping the sweat off my head and hoping I didn't lose my next opportunity to ever be hired again. Very worried that I did such a poor job. And then within 3 weeks, got another deployment. So what it was a stepping stone to getting more work. So as soon as you get your first deployment, your life is on its way. So you'll do terrible on your first one. You absolutely will do terrible on your first one, but it's a stepping stone to something in the future. And it's wonderful. And it's absolutely wonderful. Oh, absolutely. MT, the cougar paws are an absolute necessity. Absolute necessity. Don't cut corners, they will save your life. I replace mine every 6 months because the warranty on them is 6 months. They don't warranty the boots past 6 months, they wear out, the safety factor of them. So it is just a cost of expense. If you're not climbing a lot of roofs, then you're gonna get longer wear out of them, meaning you might get a year's use out of them, but replace them every year, whatever you have, based on how much you use them. But you will be surprised how steep of a roof you can stand on with those boots. And absolutely can't believe that you can stand on that with these boots on. They're amazing. And yes, the pitch hopper is the greatest invention that ever came around for guys just getting off that ladder onto the roof. It is a total win-win. So no doubt. All right, guys. Well, feel free to leave me a comment in this video if you didn't get your questions answered, and I'll be sure to get to them. And guys, we will see you on the next one.